In 1969, muscle cars were getting louder, wilder, and more extreme. But one machine chose a different path. No giant wings. No cartoon decals. No cheap tricks. Just brutal torque, refined styling, and total authority. This is the 1969 Plymouth GTX 440. The gentleman's muscle car that could still humble everything on the street. When muscle grew up. 1. Muscle at its peak. 1969 is often called the peak of the muscle car era. Every brand was chasing horsepower headlines. But Plymouth already had the Roadrunner for raw aggression. What Plymouth wanted was dominance. With sophistication. The GTX wasn't about youth rebellion. It was about confidence. 2. The GTX identity. GTX stood for Gran Turismo Extra. A promise of performance and comfort. Built on the mid-size B-body platform. The GTX came standard with features other muscle cars charged extra for. Heavy-duty suspension. Premium interior trim. Full sound insulation. Serious big block power. This was muscle for drivers who demanded more than noise. 3. The 1969 design update. For 1969, the GTX received subtle but important styling changes. Cleaner grille. More refined badging. Optional blacked-out hood treatment. Wider stance perception. It looked serious. Not flashy. Not desperate. Parked next to louder competitors. The GTX looked calm. And calm is often dangerous. 4. Position in the Mopar lineup. The Roadrunner sold in huge numbers. The GTX did not. Why? Because the GTX was more expensive. And unapologetically so. It wasn't trying to be the people's muscle car. It was trying to be the best one. Data and tech breakdown. 1. The legendary 440 Super Commando. The heart of the 1969 GTX was its standard engine. 440 cubic inch Super Commando V8. 375 horsepower. Massive low-end torque. Smooth power delivery. Built for effortless speed. This engine defined what big block muscle should feel like. 2. Optional 426 Hemi. For buyers who wanted the ultimate. 426 Hemi V8. Officially rated at 425 horsepower, widely underrated. Race-bred architecture. One of the most feared street engines ever built. Hemi GTX were rare, expensive, and brutally fast. 3. Transmissions. For speed manual, Hurst shifter. 3-speed torque flight automatic. Most 440 GTX buyers chose the automatic. A perfect match for the engine's torque. 4. Performance numbers. 440 GTX. 0 to 60 miles per hour, 5.6 seconds. Quarter mile, 13.9 seconds. 426 Hemi GTX. 0 to 60 miles per hour, 5.2 seconds. Quarter mile, 13.4 seconds. For a refined, full-size muscle car. These numbers were devastating. 5. Production numbers. 1969 Plymouth GTX production, 15,000 units. Estimated breakdown. 440 powered, majority. 426 Hemi, 200 units. That rarity is exactly why collectors chase them today. 6. Market value today. 440 GTX, $80,000 to $130,000. High-quality restored 440, $140,000 to $180,000. 426 Hemi GTX, $300,000 to $450,000 plus. Original drivetrains and documentation matter more than horsepower now. 1. Power without drama. The 1969 GTX didn't need to shout. Its presence alone said enough. You didn't rev it to prove anything. You didn't decorate it to stand out. You simply drove it. And let the torque do the talking. 2. The driving feel. Owners describe the 440 GTX as effortless brutality. Touch the throttle. And the world moves backward. No frantic screaming. No chaos. Just controlled force. 3. The sound of confidence. A 440 GTX doesn't crackle or pop. It rumbles. Deep. Low. Authoritative. It sounds like a muscle car that knows exactly what it is. 4. Why it was underappreciated. Back then, buyers chased cheaper thrills. The Roadrunner outsold it dramatically. But today, history has flipped the script. Collectors now understand the GTX wasn't overpriced. It was understood too early. 5. Why the 1969 GTX 440 still matters. Because it represents the perfect balance of the muscle era. Because it proves restraint can coexist with power. Because it delivers speed without immaturity. The GTX didn't age out. It aged up. The 1969 Plymouth GTX 440 wasn't built for everyone. It was built for drivers who valued strength, composure, and confidence. If you respect muscle cars that rely on engineering, not gimmicks. Hit subscribe, tap like. And comment which classic deserves the next deep dive. This is American Muscle. Grown, grounded, and still brutally fast.